Hello, everybody. And a special, special hello and thank you to the people who invited me here. Amaina Baba, prophet and prophetess. Thank you so, so much. You don't know what an honor this is for me. Let me just have a look around so I get used to some faces before I start talking. And I might just call you out and ask you to answer a question or contribute. You all look so wonderful. Aren't you grateful for this opportunity to be able to receive? I listened to the last speaker and I laughed when he spoke about how he can argue and win an argument. So I'd like to argue with him as a lawyer myself. Please be seated. Thank you. So the way I'm going to present my topic to you is in the form of a story about myself and how I ended up as a commercial lawyer and how I ended up being in many places. You know what? I think when this church started, there were not so many people, but the visionaries behind this dreamt big, right? So in your own life, you have to dream really, really, really big. I like to think that there's only one Nelly Tiago, so I actually call myself the Nelly Tiago. There'll be no one else like that but me. So think of yourself as the person that you are. You are a brand, but we're also children of God, so we're branded by God, isn't it? Now, my Semwaya is not here. She's part of the crew that forced me to become a lawyer. There's my mom. You all know that we've got loving mothers and fathers. I believe that my parents, including those parents, prayed for me from the time I was a little girl. And they saw in me what they believed was, a passion for rights. I guess because I was fighting for my rights and fighting for the rights of my siblings too, and fighting for the rights of those who are disadvantaged. They called me a bit of a bully at school, not because I bullied anyone, but I bullied the bully. So I believe that's why I became a lawyer. And when I was younger, I didn't really know what I wanted to do because I wanted to help so many people. I wanted to be a doctor, a nurse, a teacher, a lawyer, everything in one, right? But because of the prayers of my parents, including that parent, they saw that I was supposed to be a lawyer. And truth be told, my mother went and applied for my schooling in Pretoria. She went to visit my grandparents, came back and said, January, you're going to start law, and you will be at the University of Pretoria. As an obedient child, I went, but I was not happy because this felt like it was imposed on me, right? And I said, as the first child, I have to do well anyway. I must succeed, I must pass, and I must pass well. But I didn't realize that, these parents, they know us so well. I love my job, guys. I love it. And I love what I do each and every day. So don't ignore your parents when they tell you that, this could be your path. They may be old, but they're still cool, right? And they know us better than we know ourselves, right? Better than our friends know us, right? So the words of a parent should always be listened to. Like my kids say, I must obey Gogo because she's my mother. And the Bible says, obey your mother and father, right? Okay. So I finished my law degree at the University of Pretoria. When I went there, there were 7% non-whites. This is all blacks, coloreds, Indians counted in one. So we were a minority. It was a difficult course to do. There were speed bumps. Sometimes you fall back, but I pushed through and I finished my degree. Then I came back home because I wanted to come home. And the first job I got is the job that I have up to today. So I've been at Scanlon for 20 years. And I've been a partner for 16 of those years. Right. When I started, how many of you watch all these law dramas and think that everything happens within an hour? Right? Right there. It's not like that. I used to get so frustrated because the first thing you do when you join a law firm is you do all the running around. And I was like, ndakwitwa messenger, in internet degree.
Now I'm just a messenger, and yet I've got a degree.
But now I realize that, hey, those guys, they know more than us. They've seen the system, they know how the system works. They can even correct my own papers because they've been there for so long. And that experience for me is invaluable. What it taught me was no matter how educated you are, everyone matters, everyone counts in your work and in what you do. You have to stay humble, you have to respect people. It's got nothing to do with how many degrees you have. That's what we're called to do, to be respectful, especially to vanu vakuru, isn't it?
Especially to those old.
So I did my first couple of months following Mr. Kawonde around to make me meet the judges' clerks. I hadn't yet met the judges, made friends with all the registrars, and I was enjoying my life. Then comes, police calls where you have to go to the police stations. That was not for me. I'm a Christian, right? And when you're at the police station, you lose your Christianity because you're like, what the heck is going on here? Can't you see that my person is innocent? Get them out. There are so many forces that you don't know of. And what I learned then was the power of prayer. Don't ever think that you can do your job or complete a task without committing it to God. And in order for it to work out and to come out right, you have to commit it to God. When there's a setback, you should know that this is God also pushing you to do things correctly. So, they say lawyers are liars. Hey, yeah. We have to pray for forgiveness every single day. So I was telling my friend the other day, we were laughing, we said, all these people think they're going to be in heaven. It's going to be full of lawyers because we're always confessing, Lord, forgive me, I transgressed, I'm so sorry, I didn't mean to withhold that information. And that's what made me not stay in the criminal practice for too long. It was a good experience because you need it for your development as you go forward. And I thought, maybe I'm going to become a judge after one of my aunts who's a Supreme Court judge. And she was like, yeah, my Nini, yeah, this is your path, this is your path. Then somewhere along the line, I found myself loving corporate and commercial law. Now, who likes to read and read a lot? These glasses are not fashion, eh? This is like a hazard of the job. And you will be reading and reading for the rest of your life. That's what comes with this position of a lawyer. You can never, ever think you know it all. Almost the same as your Bible. You need to read it over and over again. That's the same with the law. We have to always keep on reading. So corporate and commercial law, if I take you to the next slide, is the law of trade and business. So like the previous speaker spoke about how he found himself as a pseudo lawyer, but I think that he should stop these things and come to the real lawyers. And this is so that you learn all the rules and regulations for your business or for your trade. That's what that's what commercial law is. So simplified, it's commerce, isn't it? Whether you have a big business, whether you have a small business, there are laws that need to be complied with. Zimbabwe is so regulated. Even a public holiday has got a statutory instrument. You just don't wake up and say, today's a public holiday. There's laws that you follow. There's even laws about, if you call someone a certain name, it's a crime, and there's a whole act about those things. So everything, big or small, all businesses are regulated. So when you get into your trade, into your businesses, consult a lawyer. Don't set up without consulting a lawyer. Find out what are the rules that I need to follow. What are the licenses that I need to get? And what are the rules of engagement with other people, all right? Then I take you to corporate law. They sound the same, isn't it? You'd think that it should just all be called one thing. But now corporate is talking about the person, and this person being a company, private or public, listed, unlisted, sole proprietor, an individual, joint ventures, and anything that you use to do your business. And this you have to set up properly. Again, I urge you, spend a few $100s to get help from a lawyer. We charge a lot, but it's worth that investment, right? Now, this takes me to the next part of my life. So now here I am, reading all these regulations, complying with exchange control. I'm always being shouted at when I tell people, you must comply with exchange control laws. Make sure you transact through the banks. Don't change your money any other way. I'm that person. The rules, the rules, the rules. Somewhere along the line, people noticed that I like rules. So don't think I got onto board seats because of applying. It was someone who was watching and someone who was listening to me talk, and people who talked about me behind my back. Because I'm Zimbabwe, people gossip, hey? So make sure that the gossip is good about yourself. And this is what then led me to be appointed on my very first board, which was in a state institution, right? I had so much fun. We traveled. People were wondering how an under 30 can be on this board and working with people who are 50, 60 and above. Who does she know? Who got her here? It was nothing like that. Somebody saw me and said, no, let's give this one a try. And I later found out that a lot of people had seen me and were like, who's that girl? Let's give her a try. So as you walk your lives, I urge you to be people of integrity because that's what people see. I'm not perfect. I'm a sinner, like I said, and I'm confessing daily because I'm a lawyer, right? I'm a walking confession. But be people of integrity. And when you're called to serve, even in the smallest of ways, serve so diligently. Because everyone is watching, God is watching. And we're not doing it for people, but we're doing it to glorify God, right? So serve diligently, don't complain. Wear proper shoes so that you don't complain, And just do it with love, grace, and humility. Somebody's watching. And that's what happened to me. So after a few of these state boards, I was like, I'm tired. Do you know, I even got one board membership. It was the day my son was born. I was even in hospital. Then this guy is calling me and saying, Madam Tiago, you have been appointed. I'm like, hold on. I'm busy right now. So you see, that's how amazing God is. These opportunities come when you least expect and at the oddest of times. The one thing that I had to learn to do as well was, learn a bit more of practical law. Yes, we say we are the most learned people. We hang out with other lawyers, but you do yourself a disservice if you do not hang out with other people. Everyone matters. Everyone counts. The voice that you take into the boardroom is the voice of the people, right? Your opinions should reflect what, the people also want to see. But they can't be voices of bad. It has to be good, which is why we need good corporates and good corporate governance. Now, a good corporate, I love his product, eh? It's really good. It made me lose weight. I had it with yogurt, and it's everything that he said it is. So he didn't lie. He's a good corporate, right? Good corporates follow all the rules, all the regulations that apply in their particular space. So you'll find all these acts. We'll send them through to you. I don't want to lecture too much about law. The Companies Act, the tax laws, you must pay your taxes. It's even there in the Bible. You must pay your taxes. The labor laws, treat your employees fairly. The other lady who spoke, she sounded Mozambican to me. She spoke about treatment as an employee. Guys, you guys are employees one way or the other. Treat your employees fairly and remunerate them, pay them fairly. And also if you're in the food industry, there's going to be all your health regulations. There's also environmental law. that you need to comply with. I have to commend you, Amaina Baba. Look at all these trees, guys. This is not a mistake. If they wanted, they could have cut them all down. That's being a bad corporate. There's a reason why we should always remember the creation, even as corporates. So thank you for such a beautiful and serene sight. You guys are so lucky. Let's clap hands for these guys. And then the thing that people don't like to hear, make sure you've got a shop license. Who's got a shop here? In the boot, a real shop, who's got shops? Do you have a license? There's some who say, we're just putting their hands down because they know that they don't have the right license. Who's got a factory here? Do you have a factory's license? Has the health inspector come? Do you allow the city of Harare or city of wherever you are to come and inspect you? If you don't, it means you're not a good corporate. There's something you're hiding, isn't it? Right. So whatever you decide as a corporate culture, you need to make sure that it comes from the bottom all the way up. Everyone should be able to say, this is our corporate culture. And guys, muda in a corporate culture, be very, very proud. So corporate governance really is all the rules, practices, that are involved. So it's like a cycle. Rules, practices, practices, rules, practices that are involved in a business. The corporate governance started when there was a need for accountability between the shareholders and their workers. So as shareholder at Scanlon and Holderness, I believe that my workers must work a certain way. So, but the problem is, I want long term, but the workers want short term. So now we disconnect, right? And that's why there's need to have corporate governance so that you connect and you both have your goals met. There's accountability, transparency, fairness, and independence when you have all the pillars together. I've shared a few other sections in the Companies and Other Business Entities Act so that muone that I actually know the law, right? And there are certain things that we speak about that are actually put into the law. And these are your duty of care, the business judgment rule, duty of loyalty, and duty to disclose conflict of interest. Why do you think we have that? That's so that our corporate functions well, isn't it? That everyone brings their best to the corporate. We're all working and striving to meet our goals. There's no one who is side hustling, who has been side hustling and moonlighting without permission. A lot of us, right? You have the duty to disclose that, I've got this outside of business interest. You'll be so surprised. Your employer may be like, oh, well done. So don't hide those things. If your employer complains, then it's time to change employment, like he said. And you have the duty to disclose a conflict of interest. If you know something in a particular space that's going to affect a transaction, you have to remove yourself from it because then there's no fairness, no impartiality. It's all tainted with your inside knowledge. So whilst we all like to know, when you know something, you sometimes have to step out of that room and allow others to make the decision so that you don't influence it. Right. So I think that's enough luring for you. So my days are filled with reading and reading and reading and reading and reading. I love to read. I like to know. I'm always telling people about, oh, did you know there's a Witchcraft Act? You can't say that to somebody. I sometimes go through the statutes and I'm just like, oh, there's an act on immunities. Oh, there's an act on this. So that's me. So if you want to be a lawyer, be prepared to read a lot. Watch those films. They actually are reality. But just remember that 1 hour is actually 5 years in my life, right? So you have to be patient as well. Before I go to final tips, I don't talk a lot because my job is reading. I'm not that kind of a talker, but I answer questions. Is there anyone who has anything that they want to know about the commercial world of law and corporate law world of law?
Thank you, ma'am, for this opportunity. Well, I'd like to ask how crucial is it to consider having a will, and what can people do to a property or holding that wasn't disposed by any legal documents stating any wishes of the deceased?
Now, you guys are now asking me legal advice, huh? I charge for that a lot of money. I'll answer the first part because the other part I can't answer. I don't have all the background facts. There will be things I'll mislead you if I answer the second bit. But it is very important to have a will because in your will, that's where you put your wishes of what you want to see happening when you're no longer there. And we're all headed there. We're all going to die. I've had a will for the longest of times. I was afraid because I was told that when you write your will, you immediately die, right? But I've had a will since I was in my 20s, and I just updated as more and more children are born and nieces and all these things, right? So have a will. In there, make sure you talk about all your property, what you want to see given and who to, where you want to be buried, but no ridiculous requests, please. Just say, bury me close to, make it easy for everyone to bury you. Canada, UK, don't say, bring me home. It's expensive.
If you've gone to the UK,
We'll
don't
bury
demand.
you there. And then also you talk about if the minor children, you can also mention who you want to be the guardian after you're no longer there. But you need to consult the person that you're appointing so that when you write their name and they're called upon, they won't say, I can't. Okay?
Thank you.
All right.
Okay. Thank you, ma'am, to your extreme left.
Okay, there we go.
Thank you very much for the shortest presentation. So, more interested in the conflict of interest. I really want to find out, Kuti, at which point do we say this is a conflict of interest? For example, I work in a pharmacy, and I've since discovered that there are things, for example, the cosmetic side, which are not available in the pharmacies. So I want to be a supplier of pharmacies, including the pharmacy that I work for. Would that be considered a conflict of interest, or it's something that is totally different?
So short presentations are good so that all of you can get free advice today. So yours is a combination of conflict of interest and outside business activities, right? And you're saying that I want to, at which point do I tell my employer that this is what I'm doing and this is what I want to do? You're not really conflicted, but the moment that you set up a business and you want to become a supplier, you can't, I'll give you an example. We had someone, I won't mention names, but it was someone that we know, and they set up a company that sells computers, right? And used his wife as the director, shareholder, everything, and was supplying the computers to us, right? Without telling us that he is also part of that business. Oh, and even without telling us that that is his wife. So the minute that you're now actually supplying, if it's you, if it's your mother, your sister, you have to tell the business owner that, I am close to this business. So just be aware, when we come to you, just know that I'm part of this. You have to give the owner the opportunity to make sure that they're being fairly priced. Remember, we talked about corporate governance and fairness. If you don't disclose, how do I know that the price that you're giving me is fair? Maybe you're undercutting so that you get my business. Maybe you're overcharging because you know how much I'm willing to pay. So you need to disclose the minute that you're going to become a supplier.
I'm very answered.
Good afternoon, Ma'am Nali Tiago. So my question goes like this. In an era where gender equality is being pushed, as women, we face gender discrimination. How do you, as a woman, face a situation where you are told to do a certain task, but since you're a woman, you can't do it, and other people actually discriminate you from doing it? How do you deal with it? That's my question.
So I am a bit ruthless about that one because there's a difference between discrimination and laziness, right? I'm not going to use the fact that I'm a woman as an excuse for laziness. So if you're coming to me because you're lazy, that's bad. But let me respond to the discrimination part, right? It happens a lot where you'll be passed over because you're a woman, passed over because you look like you're going to have children, just had children, likely to have more children, want more maternity leave. This is an expensive asset, right? So it's very hard, but just keep on pushing and persevering. But what you must not do is stop celebrating your womanhood. Take your maternity leave. Do what you need to do as a mother, a wife, a sister, everything that you need to do. Because the guys are doing the same thing, right? They've got so many responsibilities as men as well, just like us. So don't stop celebrating your womanhood. The only thing that you must do is not be lazy. When you turn up for work, turn up, be present, give 100%. Don't lie about where you are going to be. I'm sorry, ladies, we do that a lot, right? We're like, I'm just taking a walk, I'll be back in 10 minutes. Next thing is like 30, 1 hour. That's not being, that takes away your power. Because next time you want that real break, no one is going to give it to you. So turn up, be there 100%, but don't stop celebrating being a woman.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you, ma'am, to your extreme left.
Thank you, ma'am, for this opportunity. I'm truly grateful to be standing before you and asking you a question because you have reached a stage where I would want to be and even beyond. So I'm currently residing in the USA and I'm studying the paralegal course in criminal justice. And I'd like to upgrade and do immigration law later on. So I've been wondering, you haven't said this yet, but I'm just wondering, I realized that you studied law in the University of Pretoria and you are practicing law in Zimbabwe. So I wanted to understand that, is it wise to convert? Because I realized that countries have different laws. There is no way you can bring your law from South Africa and try and practice in Zimbabwe, or bring your USA law and try and practice in Zimbabwe. So I wanted to know, is it wise for me to convert if I want to practice law in Zimbabwe, or it's just going to add more years which are not really necessary because it might take me 2 years or 1.5 years to convert, which is practically just adding more information to me, which I might not need. So I wanted to know, is it wise for me to convert or just practice in my country?
So which is your country?
The USA, where I'm residing right now, that's where I'm learning.
And that's where you want to be?
I have been thinking about it because that's where my parents are.
Okay. Well, nothing comes easy, right? Firstly, the law is not isolated to just the US. In Zim, we do refer to international law a lot. And we have so many investors that are coming into the country as well, and others that are coming out of Zim to other countries. So you need to know so much more law than just your own law. And when people come to Africa, they expect me to know even South African law. And when I look and compare South African law and Zimbabwean law, we've borrowed so much from each other because we are Southern African. So Zambia, Zimbabwe, anyone in the Southern Africa, our laws are so similar. And that's what makes it possible for me. I didn't say this. I work 80% with external law firms that are not in Zimbabwe. And when we're talking, because I know the law that's in the other jurisdiction, I can explain to them in a way that they understand. That's one. Two, what you're studying in the US could be life-changing for our law in Zimbabwe. So if you are going to come back home, there's so many spaces where you can apply that American learned law in Zim, especially in the human rights sector. That's my view. So don't discard home. I didn't listen to that mother when she told me, register in South Africa, register wherever you go. I wish I had. And I'm going to do something about one of the jurisdictions because now I'm listening. Okay.
So much, you've answered my question. Thank you.
Thank you for this opportunity. My name is Aneso, and I'm studying law. My question is, what are your recommendations or your advice for people who just graduated from law school? Like, I wanted to pursue like the bench, but then I got like, people say that it was a bad idea for someone who just graduated from law school to go to the bench. Then I'm also passionate about human rights, and I wanted to go like to an NGO, but people told me that that's not good as well. So now I'm confused because I am better at corporate law and commercial law, but I'm more passionate at human rights law. So, what do you recommend for people who just graduated?
When I finished college, the advice I was given was you don't even know yourself. And you know, when you finish in your 20s, you want to do everything, right? So the only place where I could do everything was going into a law firm where you get to do everything before you really get to know who you are. So even your passion for human rights, even your passion for corporate and commercial, and all these things that you're feeling, you can experience them in a fully fledged law firm. So I'd urge you to apply to law firms. I know most of the big ones like ours, we take interns, and there's internships of different categories to allow people to just see what happens in a law firm. So that's the one route. When it comes to human rights, that should never end as a passion in your life, because that's the reason why we become lawyers. So I do sports law, I do medical law, I actually prosecute doctors. Are there any doctors? Yeah. Someone said to me, I'll never rapa you after what you did to me. You get it? So, because I had a passion for good medical services being given to people, and that's me. Your passion for human rights should never die. But first place to go to is a law firm and get schooled. Then you will know what you really like and what you want to do. It will take a year or two.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
I just wanted to ask, I heard you say something about you were once in criminal law and something about lying. I won't quote you, but then you said something about lying. So my question is, when in business or in life, what are your views on ethics versus legal issues? So can you do something that's questionably ethical yet legal so that you can benefit? What are your views on that?
Sorry, I'm trying to visualize something that's ethically questionable but legal. There has to always be that one person who always calls me out on my lies. But anyway, maybe it's because I've been working long enough to say no to those spaces where I feel my ethics, my integrity are going to be compromised. So if I feel that someone has come to me, and this is actually what our firm does, unless if people are doing things that we as other partners don't know, we'll kindly tell you to go to another law firm. Because that's a short-term win and long-term damage on our reputation, which we've had since 1894. That's 130 years, guys. It's a long time. And you can undo that in one blink of an eye. So we may give you solutions that are in line with the law, but the moment we reach ethical sites and things are unethical, that's not for us. We don't make money that way. So even if you come with your business idea, I can give you a solution that's proper and ethical. You might not like it because it will take a long time. For example, exchange control. And I tell you to apply for exchange control approval, process everything through the bank. I know why I'm saying that. I may tell you, get a ZEDA license. That's your solution to a lot of things. You don't know what that thing has. It gives you protection from expropriation, your value, but it costs you $5,000 to get. So it'll be expensive, but you get your solution.
Just a follow up on that. So
Yeah.
let's say you say get a ZEDA license, and I agree to that. But then it could take, the process of getting that license could take some time.
14 days.
Okay. Let's say it's something that takes longer than that, for instance.
Yeah.
And I try to
Do it the other way.
cut the line. I'm doing the legal thing. I'm doing the right thing in the sense that I'm getting the license, but then I'm finding other means of getting it, of expediting the process. What do you say to that?
So when you come to our firm, and I think the streets say this about us, don't go to Scanlon if you want to get crooked things done. We can't help you. There are people who can help you, but not us.
Thank you, ma'am. To your extreme left.
Good day, Ms. Tiago.
Hello.
And my question is on intellectual property because I'm a music artist, and you know when you visit a studio, do a song or have a concept going on, and it's out there, right? It's banging. But then there's this one thing. Since it's not your studio, you have this kind of thing where your idea could just get stolen off the bat.
So,
So, what are the best practices that one can take as an artist, like less established artist, to make sure you don't lose your creations?
So the one thing that I would urge you to do to all artists and anyone with an idea, before you share your knowledge with anyone, make them sign a non-disclosure agreement, right? Which says that they're not allowed to use your work, they're not allowed to publish it, they're not allowed to do anything with what you are about to give them without your permission. That's the one. So prevention. When it's happened, the beauty of Zim, especially when it comes to the creatives, is that something that you sing, that you write, that you speak is copywritten because it's yours. And it must be original. So you can't say, I own this copyright, when you've taken Pastor Mayendere's song, Ningi's song, and mixed them together. That's not yours. So if it is original, it is yours, and you can fight someone without having to have registered anything. The only other things that you would have to register are logos, because if you want to stop everyone else from using your logo, that you need to register with the Intellectual Properties Office. The registrar is in the CBD. Sometimes, even without registering it, but because you've used it for so long, people associate it with you. It's yours. So you can fight it using the common law rules on, intellectual property. But, Tat, what did you say? What's the first thing you make a person say? Sign non-disclosure agreement. It's a one-pager. You can even Google that one. I'll tell you for free. That one, you can use the one that you Google. It will work.
Thank you very much. You've helped. You've helped me so much. Thank you.
Thank you for teaching us what you've been teaching us. We really appreciate you. I heard you talking about license, whereby I own a small table in town, right? But then you say that you talked about license, whereby you need to buy a license for you to protect yourself from, yes. So the problem that all people that own tables have, right, is the council comes and then they'll be like, I have to write you a ticket for $70 or non-pamari a drink. So I wanted to ask that, how do we deal with that legally?
Well, you know that there's two ways you're going to deal with that. Maybe three. Let me see where I get to. Don't pay that person. And if there's numbers of you that refuse to pay that person, then the message comes through. You know, my biggest worry and concern is how easy it is to pay someone marry a drink. We need to stop that, because you're making my job hard. Because when you then come to me and I'm like, let's go, let's report this person. Who are they? Where are they? You start to feel sorry for them because, they're going to lose their job. Now you're coming hard on them. And the bad luck will come on me because I made someone lose their job. Because we're ready to fight and take it to where it needs to go to, whether it's the senior person, whether it's the officials, whether it's a court application, exposing them through the media. There's some articles that you guys see in the paper, and you don't realize these are lawyers, right? You just think it's somebody who complained. But we're trying to get a message out, right? And we say, XYZ did this and they were caught and exposed. But we're not saying, because we've seen that sometimes you don't get the recourse through the courts, but the public court is the recourse, right? But I'm urging you all, as young people that are getting into business, into any other space, don't pay Marie drink. I'll give you an example. Marie drink. Right? I told you that I'm going to confess the things that I've done. And that money never stops being asked for, man. It was during my criminal law times. Sister, marry a drink. And I
Oh, my
paid.
sister, can I get that?
Next thing, every Friday, are we going for drinks? Are we going for drinks? I'm like, oh my goodness, when is this going to end? So you are opening a can of worms. I'm so fortunate that I don't have that in my life anymore. But you guys are perpetuating it by continuing to pay. So how many of us are going to say no to marry a drink?
How many of us say
You're
no to
lying.
bribes?
You're going to be confessing. You must, yeah. So let's try. Let's try this, right? Let's try. So, how I've also gotten around some of these weird situations. Look at me, I'm so small. I'm small. I'm just Nelly Tiago, but the people behind me and the God behind me are amazing. Like I can pick up a phone and call an office that you'd never expect me to call if I need to, but I don't call those favors every day. I only do that when I really, really, really have to. Then I'll be like, Joker, and it stops everything.
Thank you, ma'am. To your extreme left.
Thank you so much, ma'am. My question is on career guidance. What type of a degree can I have for me to be able to have for me to be able to be a chief justice of this country, Zimbabwe?
Okay, I think that in life, everyone needs to have 3 degrees, and Pastor said it, right? You have to have an accounting degree, even if it's just basic knowledge. You have to have a law degree, especially for that. And even now, I think judges need to know numbers more. I won't mention this because I love God, but God is your number 1 degree, right? But to be a chief justice, you do need to have a law degree. And then that office is not just, you don't aim for it, you're called to it. So the way you live your life, the way you do your law, the people you interact with, be intentional about being around people of integrity as well. Because when you're hanging around certain places, you may think, I'm a Christian, I'm here, I'm supposed to be with the sinners. Yes, be with the sinners, but be careful because sometimes that stuff sticks on to you. So they look at reputation as well. So you're called to that office. But yes, you have to be in the public sector. And yeah, good luck to you.
Thank you so much, ma'am. I'm answered.
Okay.
Thank you so much, ma'am, for the presentation. My question goes like this. In case of a company that is operating in Zimbabwe, it's sort of a franchise, like a group company, where the head company is in maybe, let's say, UK or USA. But the corporate culture there or the laws there are contradictory to the laws in Zimbabwe. So how do you reconcile, you have laws that you want to adopt or a culture that you want to adopt since you are running a franchise from outside? And also, you have laws in Zimbabwe that you should adopt as a result of you operating within the regional borders. What do you do?
Okay, so I sit on a board that's got that scenario. It's a financial institution. So the starting point is the major person that we're accountable to is your headquarters, right? Which will be outside Zimbabwe. And then they'll have their own principles, culture that they want to infuse throughout all of their subsidiaries, wherever they are, right? And when you're now in Zimbabwe, we've got our own laws that we need to comply with. So you have to comply with what your stakeholder wants, but subject to the law of the land. They would never want you to break the law. And there's always a way of harmonizing the two. So that's how it is. First of all, comply with your stakeholder. But when they give you expectations that don't comply with the law of Zimbabwe, then that you can't do. and you have to speak about that and be open about it.
Thank you so much. I'm
Okay.
answered.
Thank you so much, ma'am. To your extreme left.
Thank you for this opportunity. Okay, ma'am, I'm a student who's studying criminology, majoring in criminal law. I'm in my final year.
You watch too much CSI. Yes.
Okay, so my first question is concerning issues of the labor laws. I heard you talking of the labor laws, right? So I don't know how you're going to advise most of us, considering that the issue of labor laws is a problem to most of us, like from our workplaces that we are working at. Most of us, it's not an issue of we don't want to be employed, but we were once employed and we left the workplace due to the issues of labor and the maltreatment that's there. So what is the procedure, like, for the help of my other friends and peers? Like, how can we get justice on the issues of labor laws? And then the last one is personal. As a criminologist, I heard you talking about starting a business and business laws. How best can you advise someone who wants to start probably a criminology center in Zimbabwe to create employment, considering the kind of nature that a criminology department looks like? It's a bit more political, but in order for us to start it as a business and creating employment, how best can you advise someone to do that?
So I'll start with the last bit. I did a little bit of criminology because when I went into first year, I thought law was about criminology, right? Then I went there, it was like totally different. It's not law. It's more of a science, if I can, a social science and a science, in my view. So I think the place you need to go to is the police or to, I don't know what other place that you'd fit in, because I think it's got to do with forensics, investigations, all those things. I've no clue on how you can open a business. And I'm not shy to tell you when I don't know, but I can find out. So when you don't know, guys, don't lie. Just say, I don't know. That's all I know. On labor, there's been some good amendments to the Labor Act that have come. I think the one is about fairness in payment, because there always has been that gap between man and woman. Maybe men need more money because of the black tax that they have to pay, and women don't. So that's been removed. It's supposed to be all done fairly. And you know, all the rights that people have, I think they should actually fight for men to have paternity leave so that we can also rest whilst on maternity leave, things like that. So you can lobby a cause, you can look into the actual act to see if there's anything that you can use in there, but there's always room to lobby your causes. That's what I've seen in Zimbabwe. They do listen.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
Okay.
Thank you, ma'am, for this opportunity. So my question is on what you said when you started your presentation. You say to listen to your parents when they give you advice on a career choice, right? So I wrote my O-level last year and I passed. So I said to my mom, I want to do something with fashion and business. But then she wants me to do law. We had actually agreed on me to do fashion and business. But when she showed our relatives my results, they were like, these are results of a lawyer, she should actually do law. And now she wants me to do that. So my question is, do I listen to my parent and do law and hope for the best in the future, or do I go for my passion?
Right. So my grandmother was half Indian. So in our family, there are certain degrees that you can't do, like fashion. You can't do that, right? They said to me, your basic must be engineering, law, doctor, accounting. So those are the standard things that you start with, right? Followed by your passion. You know, I love your hair. I think I'm fashionable. I like fashion. I was passionate about that too. I love to sing and all of those things. I thought maybe one day I would become a singer, but get your basic degree first. And do you know what? You can actually do all those things together with your basic degree that you are fighting for. Plus, this is a degree that they are paying for. So get the best out of them, and then do your passions with your own money when you can.
Thank you very much, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am, for the opportunity. I have a friend that I do accounts. So I wanted your advice on, we lost all the company documents, and now it's a challenge in terms of compliance with other regulatory orders. So my question is, what's your advice on such a case? If are we able to go to the register and get our documents, or we can still start a new company
No,
and
you
then
don't
move
have to
on?
start afresh because you've got, reputation that's attached to your company already, right? So what you can do is you go to the registrar of companies and you ask them to check if your file still exists, and they can give you what they call a certified copy, an authorized certified copy. But sometimes you get there and they can't even find that file because their filing system was, a manual filing system. Some of the things, honestly, were actually destroyed by water and even rats. We've had that as an explanation. And what we've had to do is to supply them with substituted articles and memo of association. So that's why they then put, I hope you still have your registration number. Do you know it? Yeah.
Have it.
That's perfect. So you just prepare substituted articles and memo of association, special resolution by the people that are in your company, and you file that. And first of all, write them. Then they'll tell you, we have failed to locate your file. Then you do that process.
Okay, thank you, ma'am.
Good afternoon, Council Tiago.
Hello.
I am Alexis, and I am a law student as well. So my question is based off what Anesu asked and your response. You spoke about getting internship before you choose a particular sector of law to focus on. So just as you, I am also passionate about human rights. And I was thinking that once I'm done with my degree, I would work for an organization and maybe start my own at a certain point. But you then spoke about internship. So I want to ask if there's any chance that I can maybe get internship at your firm over the holidays.
I like that, eh?
Thank
These are the type of girls we like. Anyway, go ahead.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So is it open for me to get internship at your firm by the time that I close for this semester, and maybe I can be frequenting there over my holidays?
So Alexis, I think my email address is going to be shared, and then just write briefly that, I'm that girl who spoke about this. Here's my CV. And then we'll see.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you so much.
Then we'll try and get you in so that you can come and see what it's like. It may be 2 weeks, it may be a month, it may be longer.
Okay.
But I will use the space that I have to have you there.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, ma'am. We can give you the last question as you requested. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I ran out of voice bundles because of the excitement. So I'm inspired by your profile, everything. I'm a law student myself, so I have a lot of free time on my hands, and we've been talking about creative energy and being occupied in doing something. So as a law student, I know what I want. I want to be a corporate lawyer just like you are. That's what I've always wanted. But I want to improve my credentials. I only have the law degree right now. That's the only certificate I have. I want to have more. Can you please give me a prescription of what I can study just to, have that profile, the fancy profile you have?
No, but mine is about the law degree, hey? I don't go there and claim that I know anything else except the law. So you must master what you're doing. It's always good to have financial literacy. I don't know if the local universities give that. In Pretoria, that was one of our courses where you do something that's got finance in it. That's always a plus. And one thing before I go, how many of the lawyers here have been assisting the church with their help when they need legal help? Is there somewhere where you can say, hey, Ndauya, I'm a volunteer and I'm going to be here to just assist, even if it's to run and file a paper like I did with Mr. Kawonde. That's how you start getting experience, right? Well, thank you everyone for this massive opportunity. You are all amazing and wonderful. I had ended my presentation with final tips and takeaways where I said hard work, honesty, diligence, and integrity. And all of them are backed up with verses from the Bible. You do that and do you. Thank you so much for this opportunity. Thank you, everyone.